Apparently, killer players just love complaining. Every time someone brings up generator speeds, the response is always the same. Pressure generators. Stop blaming the game. Skill issue. And honestly, maybe they're right. Maybe killer players really are just coping. Maybe gen rushing isn't actually a problem. Maybe we just need to get better. Or maybe DBD is extremely unbalanced and caters to survivors. Instead of arguing with people in the comments, I decided to do something that you and I absolutely hate: math. Because I wanted to answer one question: is gen rushing actually a problem, or have killer players just convinced themselves that it is? So I sat down, I looked at the numbers, I timed everything, I compared generator speeds, hook timings, chase lengths, everything. And the numbers that I found out are actually insane. Before all you survivor mains start writing your 5-paragraph essays in the comments, hear me out. A single generator takes 90 seconds for one survivor to repair from start to finish without any toolboxes or perks. 90 seconds. Seems pretty reasonable, right? Until you remember something. There isn't one survivor in a match. There's 4, which means that 90-second timer almost never exists in an actual match. The average time a killer finds and hooks someone in their first chase is 60 to 90 seconds. Not too bad, until you realize something terrifying. That's the exact amount of time it takes for a survivor to complete 1 out of 5 generators by themselves. Which means if 3 different survivors each commit to separate generators while you're taking your first chase, that's a very real possibility that by the time you've earned your first hook of the entire game out of 12 hook states, 3 generators are already finished. Not because you played badly, not because you made huge mistakes, but because the clock never stopped ticking. And that's where the game starts feeling less like you're getting outplayed by survivors and more like you're racing against the countdown timer that never gives you a chance to catch up. The moment multiple survivors split up, everything changes. 2 survivors working together, now it's 53 seconds. 3 survivors, 43 seconds. 4 survivors, 40 seconds. The primary objective survivors need to complete can be cut more than half simply because multiple people are repairing. And that's before we even talk about toolboxes, perks like hyper focus, resilience, deja vu, and a couple of others that make gen progress significantly faster. And this is where I think people misunderstand what killer players are actually complaining about. It's not that generators are impossible to stop. It's that the killer is playing against something they physically cannot control. Let's establish one thing. The objective for survivors is incredibly simple. Repair 5 generators, open the exit gates, escape. That's it. The killer has a very different job. Find survivors, win chases, down survivors, carry survivors, hook survivors, protect generators, manage map pressure, predict where survivors rotate, keep track of hook states, prevent resets, watch for flashlights, watch for sabos, watch for body blocks, and somehow be in multiple places at once. So when people say, just pressure generators, I always wonder, pressure which ones exactly? Because there are multiple objectives happening across the map at the same exact time. There was only one killer and 4 survivors. I honestly don't think most players realize just how little time killers actually have before the match starts slipping away. One little mistake can easily hurt your chances at winning. Gen rushing specifically has gotten out of hand lately, and it seems almost impossible to compete against, especially in high MMR. Killers are forced to slug and tunnel, and even if they do so, they still struggle to secure the win because of optimized swifts. Now obviously, Dead by Daylight isn't played on paper. Survivors make mistakes, killers make mistakes, people miss skill checks, someone gets chased off a generator. Every game is different. I get that. But here's what doesn't change: the clock. Because whether you're winning your chase, losing your chase, getting stunned, breaking a pallet, or hooking a survivor, time never stops. And that's why I wanted to look beyond just the first generator. Because once I started adding everything together, the numbers get insanely ridiculous. To put it into perspective, if one survivor was left completely alone for an entire match with no interruptions, do you know how long it would take them to complete all 5 generators by themselves? 7.5 minutes. Let that sink in. One survivor doing the work of 5 generators in roughly 7.5 minutes. Because now let's introduce something that does happen. Toolboxes, gen perks being stacked, suddenly that repair time drops even further. If a single survivor is running a dedicated gen rush build using perks designed specifically to maximize repair speed, you're looking at roughly 3.5 to 4 minutes of pure repair time to complete every generator they touch by themselves. 3.5 minutes. For the game's primary objective, you cannot tell me that isn't insane. Because while one survivor is quietly deleting generators, the killer isn't standing still. The killer is juggling literally everything else the game throws at them. Finding survivors, winning chases, breaking pallets, managing hook states, defending objectives, trying to predict rotations, trying to stop rescues, trying to keep pressure across an entire map, and somehow they're expected to stop generators that are disappearing faster than they can physically travel between them. Sure, some killers have teleport abilities, but it's not like you can be in multiple places across the map at once. That's not pressure, that is a race, and the killer starts several steps behind. And I know some of you in the comments are gonna say, just run slowdown perks. Okay, let's talk about slowdown perks. Pain Resonance, Pop Goes the Weasel, Corrupt Intervention, Grim Embrace. They exist for a reason, because without them, generator speeds become even harder to manage. But here's what people don't talk about. Every slowdown perk requires something from the killer. You have to earn the value. Pain Res, get a hook and hope RNG is on your side nearby. Pop Goes the Weasel, get a hook and go kick that specific generator. Most regression perks don't magically stop generators. They reward you for already winning an interaction. And even then, the killer can't be around 7 generators at once. You hook someone on one side of the map, 2 survivors are repairing on another, the other is going for the rescue potentially. By the time you've walked across the map, another generator is halfway done. Regression perks buy you time. They don't create it. And that's a massive difference. Think about what the killer's win condition actually is. 12 hook states, not 4, 12. Every survivor needs to be hooked 3 separate times before they're sacrificed. So if you're playing fair, rotating hooks between everyone, not tunneling, not camping, not slugging, that first actual death usually doesn't happen until much later in the match, around the 7 to 9 minute mark. Think about that. Now rewind a little bit. You remember how I said it only takes 7.5 minutes for one survivor to complete all 5 generators by themselves within 7.5 minutes? Without toolboxes and perks to help them, by the way. And on average, you're telling me that a killer doesn't get their first kill until the 7 to 9 minute mark? At that point, the match is already over. 5 generators are done. Somebody please explain to me how that seems balanced and fair. While survivors only need to finish 5 generators, the killer needs to successfully win enough chases to earn 12 hook states. That's an enormous workload, especially when generators never stop progressing in the background. And that's where I think the conversation gets completely backwards. People act like killers complain because they don't want survivors repairing generators. No, generators are supposed to get done. That's literally the objective for survivors. The problem is how quickly they get done compared to everything the killer has to accomplish. And every killer knows exactly what I'm talking about. Where you genuinely feel like you're playing well, you're winning chases, you're getting hooks, you're making good decisions, and somehow 3 generators disappear before you've even had time to establish momentum. Not because the survivors were necessarily gods at looping, not because you played horribly, simply because the game moved faster than you could, and that's completely unfair. And that feeling, losing before you ever feel like you've gotten to play, that's one of the biggest reasons killers feel so demoralized right now and don't want to play killer. Now, before anyone accuses me of wanting survivors nerfed into the ground, that's not what I'm saying at all. Because yes, killers have incredibly strong powers. Some killers absolutely dominate public matches. And yes, there are strategies killers can use to slow the game down, like tunneling and slugging, camping. But here's the question nobody seems to ask. Why have those strategies become so common in the first place? Survivors constantly complain about it, but I don't think killers wake up thinking, you know what sounds fun today? Making everyone miserable. I think a lot of them feel like they're running out of time, so they have no other option. The game already has built-in systems to discourage those strategies, so why doesn't it have the same level of protection against the thing that's causing the killers to tunnel, slug, and camp? But let's be honest for a second. They're also some of the most hated strategies in the game. Nobody likes being tunneled. Nobody likes being slugged. Nobody likes sitting on first hook while a killer refuses to leave. The community has made that very clear, and behavior clearly agrees and made those changes. There are roughly 20 to 25 perks or mechanics that either directly discourage or outright punish those strategies. And honestly, it is a good thing, yet survivors still find a way to complain about it. No one wants matches decided because one survivor never got to actually play the game, but here's what I don't understand. If the game already has all these systems protecting survivors from strategies the community dislikes, why doesn't it have the same level of protection against the thing that's encouraging killers to play that way in the first place? Because that's the conversation I almost never hear. People always focus on the symptom, not the cause. If generators disappear so quickly that killers constantly feel like they're running out of time, then of course, some players are going to start looking for the fastest possible way to remove someone from the match. At least make it feel like it's balanced and fair. It has to change. Behavior needs to stop treating generator progression like it's untouchable because every survivor main cries about it. Whether that's overhauling current regression perks, creating new base kit slowdown mechanics, I suggest personally making corrupt intervention base kit. That by itself would already significantly help the issue. Keep in mind, it's 4 perks versus 16. Killers deserve an extra perk slot as is. This game is 10 years old. The fact that they haven't introduced a new perk system is crazy to me. They can even slightly increase the time required to complete generators from 90 seconds to 120 seconds. Something has to give because right now the killer's objective keeps getting bigger while the amount of time they have to accomplish it keeps feeling smaller. This video wasn't me saying survivors shouldn't win. It's not about pretending every killer is weak, and it's definitely not saying every match is impossible. It's about asking a question. Is the game giving killers enough time to actually play and have a chance at winning the game, especially against time MR Swifts? Because every update tells us the same thing. Don't tunnel, don't camp, don't slug, play fair, spread hooks, interact with everyone, create exciting matches. That version of Dead by Daylight is supposed to be more fun for everyone involved. But then the game starts, 3 generators disappear before you've established pressure, your slowdown perks barely buy enough time to matter, or you have to do something to activate them, and suddenly playing fair starts feeling like a luxury, instead of the intended way to play. That's the real problem, not the survivors, not the killers, because players will always optimize around whatever gives them the best chance of winning. And if the most effective strategies are also the least enjoyable, that's not the community failing, that's the game design and the developers asking players to solve a problem in ways nobody enjoys. I want to love this game, but I just don't, and I haven't for a long time. I put thousands of hours into this game. I built the community around it. I want this game to succeed for another 10 years, but I highly doubt that it will at the pace that it's going. This is exactly why I care enough to make a video like this, because when Dead by Daylight is at its best, there isn't another multiplayer game like it. Those close matches, those last-second escapes, those 50-50 mind games, those moments where both sides feel like they earned the outcome. That's why we've all stuck around. That's the Dead by Daylight I want more of. Not matches where killers feel like they're losing a race before it even begins. Let me know down in the comments your guys' thoughts and opinions and what you think they should do. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I know you always hear this. Please like and subscribe. Truly helps me out a bunch, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Much love. Peace.